on this episode of the Sorority Chat podcast.
I tell my clients, if your goal is to be in a sorority, and I'm not saying this is impossible to do if you are an influencer on TikTok, but it makes it a lot harder. I mean, sorority girls they're not looking for influencers, they're looking for friends. And so if you're listening out there and you are gonna go through Rush, stay off TikTok. You know, it can only set you back.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Sorority Chat. I'm Liz Toombs, a designer and sorority alum who's obsessed with all things Greek life. My mission? To bring you real conversations, smart insights, and fun stories that help make sorority living even better. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and let's chat. Hey friends! Joining me today is Trisha Addicks, the OG Rush consultant. She is in the midst of recruitment season, working with her clients and writing her book, editing her book, and she is joining us today so that we can get a behind-the-scenes conversation going all around recruitment.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. You're about the only person I would make time for this week.
Well, I appreciate that. It's so good to catch up with you and give you a little bit of a breather and have a fun conversation.
Absolutely. So yeah, my podcast is not usually a video, but I kind of hope it is so that y'all can see me. I look like a serial killer. I just went walking and I'm boiling alive and I have on my big serial killer glasses. But what you see is what you get this week. And it's been like that since the start of Rush, and it will remain like that till the end of Rush. So hopefully you won't see much of me.
Stop. I like the glasses. I think they're great. They're making a comeback, but I can't with the serial killer comment.
Well, actually somebody DM'd me on Instagram and was like, I really like those wire rim glasses you wear. So I guess maybe I'm kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, I am in the thick of it, y'all. We are recording this at 4:00 on August 11th. And let me make sure I know what rushes are going on. We have Georgia, Arkansas, Auburn, Alabama. I know I'm forgetting some. Tennessee. What else? I don't know. It doesn't matter. We are in it. And I've been doing this for a long time. And the numbers this year are insane. For example, Tennessee has almost as many PNMs registered as Alabama.
Wow.
Alabama has 19 sororities, although 17 of them Rush, but Tennessee only has 14. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen with this, because there are a record number of of people going through Rush. And I have my thoughts on why sorority Rush is so popular, and especially in the South, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that, Liz.
Oh, well, my thoughts are that it's your way to plug in and to connect. It's a little bit of a fashion show. It's a social club. There's a lot to it. Giving back to your community is also really ingrained in you in the South. And so sororities encompass all of that, right? The fashion, the giving back, the connection. I think obviously Instagram and TikTok have changed things a lot in the last few years. But I mean, those are the things that first come to mind for me. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I was about to say, I think it's 100% social media, because we now are getting clients from all over because their kids are watching, Rush Talk, and it started in COVID. And I've said this a gazillion times on my podcast that, the kids that were locked down up in the North and out West were sitting there watching the Southern kids just living their best lives in college. And they're like, I want a part of that. And now the academic rigor is there at these schools, meaning that people who wouldn't have normally sent their kids down South are now like, okay, hey, these are good schools too, which they always have been, because I went to Georgia and had a 2.6 GPA, as we know. Just kidding. But yeah, I definitely think it's that. And speaking of TikTok, there was just an article on me and my business in The Cut, which is a division of New York Magazine. But they were talking about some TikTok star. Do you know who I'm talking? I don't have time to know about this, but
is it Kylan Darnell. Am I saying her name right? Hold on.
Sounds right.
Yes, Kylan Darnell from Alabama.
So she's a student at Alabama?
Yep. And I believe her sister is currently going through Rush down there. I can't believe it. I have not been on TikTok a lot this Rush season. I don't know what's happening to me, if I just needed a break from it mentally. But yeah, my adult 40-year-old friends were just sending me her most recent post on TikTok just a little bit before we got on this.
So what was her most recent post?
She's decided to step back and take a few days away from recruitment. She doesn't really say much about it other than she's documented her whole sorority experience on her social media, and she didn't know at first that that was maybe no and shouldn't do it, but the world really took notice and started paying attention and following her, and she's created quite a following from it, and now she just said she was taking a couple mental health days and pulling back.
Well, I'm glad, again, I don't know who she is, but I'm glad that she's taking care of herself because, and I tell my clients, if your goal is to be in a sorority, and I'm not saying this is impossible to do if you are an influencer on TikTok, but it makes it a lot harder. I mean, sorority girls they're not looking for influencers. They're looking for friends. Mm-hmm. And so if you're listening out there and you are going to go through Rush, well, one, get my damn book next May. But two, stay off TikTok. It can only set you back. Again, not everybody who does a TikTok is not going to find their forever Greek home. But I do think it adds an unnecessary roadblock for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I am not going to go through Rush next semester or next year, but am I allowed to buy the damn book anyway?
Oh, yeah. You're buying more than one copy. That's required of my friends. And if my friends are listening, which some of them do and some of them don't, because I can tell, and it's okay. But that's the requirement. They're buying the damn book too. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a requirement as my friend. So start saving your money, people. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about these houses and what you're seeing inside the houses as far as rush prep, that kind of stuff, if anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's different in all the regions of the country. So in the Southeast, it tends to be the more opulent, the more elegant, fully done houses because they have the freestanding houses. And so it varies from campus to campus, though, whether they keep their furnishings and artwork in the space for certain rounds of recruitment. Some campuses now have them clear it out. And depending on where you go, it could be for different reasons. Sometimes they're having you clear it out to help, quote, level the playing field. And so that you're not paying attention to the house, you're paying attention to the women that you're talking to. And so that you're not getting distracted by all the trappings there. Others are doing it for literal logistics and space, that you cannot have a fully set up living room and get all the P&Ms in there that you need because it's standing room only, or they bring in folding chairs. So I think that's really interesting.
That is interesting. And so, and I need to clarify this in my book, some sororities still do house tours, correct?
Yes. And I'm not enough in the know to remember what campuses do and what campuses don't, or how they do it.
Yeah, and it changes every freaking year. But that's a thing that I do talk about in my book. I was like, oh shit, now they're making them take out everything. They might not be doing tours. But as far as I know, the ones that I am aware of, they still do. And y'all, a house tour is part of sometimes, and a lot of places don't have houses, but it can be part of philanthropy round where you get a quick little tour of the living spaces in a sorority house. And one of the things that is often talked about with this is that it depends what they show you, how much they like you. And and I don't really want people to concentrate on that because you can't control it. Yep. But I mean, if they show you a supply closet, it's probably not a good sign. Just saying, but
I have a feeling that's not on the list, but yeah.
I know, I'm just teasing. But it is, house tours are a thing and they're very cool. But even, so let's say after Rush, when they put all the stuff back, they're really impressive, these houses.
Yeah, they are. They're very impressive. They're very well done. And
so she who does them.
Well, I wasn't trying to toot my own horn there, but yes, like it's just like what I don't know. The Southeast there's a sense of pomp and circumstance and tradition there, and that runs through the Greek houses as well. You go to other parts of the country, and like you said, some chapters don't have facilities. Some have like a room on a floor of a dorm. Others have a townhouse style that's just like a common hangout space. But it's all very interesting to go from region to region and see what that looks like.
Yeah, for sure. And even at Auburn in the South, they don't have houses, but but there are some schools where they do rush like in the student center. And then you just go sort of like a job fair, I would imagine.
Like a tabling situation.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that would be kind of a nightmare. Honestly, I'm not going to lie, just because everybody's in the same place.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think you get just a cool sense being in a facility with the women that are members there and really getting to talk to them. It's like going to visit a friend at their home. You really get a sense of them, whether or not you're seeing their entire house or not, and it feels a little bit more comfortable than standing at a table, like you said, at a career fair.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I remember thinking at one point, this was a long time ago, and now my house has been in the media, so I'm not sure I love it that much, but I remember thinking soon after Facebook came out and I was starting to meet people or get friend requests and request friends, and I remember thinking, I sure would like to see their houses. Not for any, and I was like, we should start a page where people like post their den, because I think it's super cool to see how people live. And like, y'all, I'm looking behind Liz, and she was featured in the Wall Street Journal, and she's got her Wall Street Journal article framed, which makes me think I should frame mine.
Oh, you absolutely should. I love having those accolades up on the wall, not because I'm like, ooh, I love myself, but it's like, look how far you've come. You know, you've built this business. These were exciting moments. And so on days where I'm exhausted or there's, you know, something tough happening in the business, it's like, okay, like these were some bright spots. It'll be fine.
Yeah. And that is something that I struggle with. Sometimes I'm like, you know, especially if I get lost in the comments, which,
Don't read the comments. Never read the comments.
I try not to. And it's been pretty rough this week. But sometimes I get, you know, down about that. And I think that having the actual article without the comments on my wall might be a good idea. So.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is the people making the comments are folks that would never end up in the Wall Street Journal, right? They're keyboard warriors that just want to tear other people down. It's not anybody that actually really cares about what you're talking about or what you've built, unfortunately. But those are the folks that are just trolling online.
Yeah, before I stopped reading the comments, and my friend Ellen Scrimetti, she has also been on my podcast, and she's a very good friend of mine now, and she's very funny, but she also has had her share of online, I don't know what the hell you call it, but I'm just going to call it hate. Sure. She was like, you just cannot look at it. But before I had that conversation with her, some guy said, I don't know who would take advice from someone whose face is torn up by lasers. And I was like, no, I've never had a laser treatment, but unfortunately, this is just how I look. I was like, I didn't respond, but I would have responded, no, I'm just ugly. Like, I can't help you, dude. It's not because I'm trying to give advice about skincare or laser treatments, because that hasn't happened. I ain't got time for laser treatments.
That's the other thing, though. It could take up all your time responding, whether you're being funny or serious with these folks, and just, it's not worth all that. Yeah, I remember having that experience when the Wall Street Journal piece came out and people were talking about things. Some of them were positive, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I got to the negative, and I was like, this is why people say never read the comments. Yeah.
But it does make me, when I'm feeling, which everybody does, and especially me in this time of year when, I mean, y'all, parents, y'all need to chill the F out. Like, I have psychotic parents. I mean, all parents are worried about their kids.
Sure.
All parents are, you know, wanting the best for their kids, wanting their kids to find their, you know, fit, find their people. Yeah. But this week in particular, some of these parents, that's not their goal. And they are doing a lot of damage to their daughters. And it's making me crazy. I want to just jump through the phone and say, why would you say that to your daughter? And I have had a whole podcast about this, but we're in real time right now. We're in the thick of it, and there is some very questionable parenting going on out there.
What's going on? Is the focus just on all the wrong things? Is it like a status focus, or what are they?
There's a lot of status focus going on, and there's status focus plus their daughters, when the schedules come out, I can preach all day long every day that it's not personal, it's nothing they did. And especially after a first round that's video. I mean, how could it be? But they're like, what was wrong with her resume? What did she do? And then what did you actually say in the party? And I mean, that's tame. I mean, I've had to and my mentors who work with me to work directly with the clients, but a lot of times people will jump the mentor and try to get in touch with me. I don't always take the calls because I just don't have the bandwidth, which is why I have mentors, people. But it is shocking to me. And then there will be a lot of backtracking because these people have put in the work. They're going to find their place. They are, these girls are this is important to them. And yeah, there's going to be some backtracking, but they're going to find their people. And then the parents, they come back to earth and they're like, what did I say? What did I do? And I have the texts.
You got the receipts?
Yeah, I got the receipts. Someone reached out to me earlier today, and she was cut out of Rush at Auburn. She was not a client. And she was like, I just didn't think I needed to do anything. And a point that I really want to make to people is the amount of work you put in to get into college. Like, why are you going to drop the ball once you're in? Like, think about how much work it takes to get into college these days. I mean, again, 2-6 Georgia didn't do this work, but these kids are doing many service hours. They have jobs. They're so amazing. I say this all the time, and they're really putting in the work to find the best college for them. And then some of them are like, yeah, it'll be fine. I'll find my people. It happens to some where you don't have to put in the work. And it's not a commercial here where I'm saying people need to sign up for us. But regardless, you need to put the work. It needs to be intentional.
I mean, I agree. I think that should be the case with whatever you're doing. Getting into college, trying to rush a sorority or beyond. You're not going to get much out of it if you're not putting much into it.
Right. And it's really makes me sad when they come to me at the end of or in the middle of an unsuccessful rush. And again, nothing in life is guaranteed, but if you do the work and you put in the prep and it's intentional, your odds of success go up exponentially.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. And then also where you land, you really feel like, okay, this is where I should have landed because I did everything I could and did my best and put forth the effort.
Right.
I don't know. I hate that the dark side of the recruitment is the getting caught up in the minutia and the really superficial things when we both know there's so much positive that comes from the deeper things if you just run the course, right? Just let it all play out and see where it goes.
Yeah, I had I had a girl call me today, and she had a full schedule back at her school, which is rare if you're listening, especially with these numbers that are going through Rush. And I spoke to her because the mentor was otherwise occupied with somebody else. And I said, okay, let's talk. Why am I calling you? What's going on? And she said, I was dropped by X sorority. And I was like, okay, so what's the problem? And she said, well, I heard that's a good sorority. And I was like, okay, honey, it sounds condescending when I'm saying honey, but I was just like, okay, we got to take a step back. And by the end of the conversation, she understood. But another great point is everybody gets to one, and your journeys look different. And if you're getting bogged down because you got dropped by one sorority and you still have a full schedule, even if you don't have a full schedule, you're in for a long week for sure. So, but yeah, I could tell you stories all day, but it's kind of real time, so I won't get into it. But it's a lot, and people do sort of lose their minds. And I know if you're listening out there and you're just been through it, I understand where you're coming from, or you're going through it. I understand where you're coming through it, but it cannot be said enough that you do not want to put this on your daughters. Like my friend Mel said, if you drink, lock yourself in a closet with a bottle of wine and go dark. Don't get on the chat groups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. On the flip side, what I see in my work is people getting really worked up over the house being just pristine and perfect ahead of recruitment, which is not always possible. And so sometimes things don't work out, right? If you've ever had a construction project, sometimes things go over budget, they take longer, stuff goes wrong, and things don't show up on time. And so I have to hear a lot about that side of things and try to sort of coach people through it and offer solutions and like talk them down a little bit too.
Yeah, so we're both doing a lot of that.
We just got two sides of the same coin, I guess.
Yeah. So what do you think is the most important thing for people to see when they get into a sorority house? I mean, is it just the sisterhood, the personalities, or do you think it all plays a part?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I'm going to end up talking myself out of a job because the house is not the most important. It really is about the women involved and understanding that the relationship among the group and if that feels like the right fit for you. But what happens is the house or the facility is the backdrop to fostering that community and those relationships. And so it sort of has a secondary level of importance, because if you have that home to go to and that place to gather, whether it's a live-in facility or not, then those relationships, I think, grow more naturally rather than trying to find other places to get together. But the house is not the most important, despite what some folks will think.
Yeah, and these houses are amazing. But yeah, it's true. It's like I've been watching the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders season 2 because I'm obsessed. Mm-hmm. And the girls that were in the Omni together, it was a hotel, but they were all like crammed into a few rooms, but they really bonded. These were all rookies, I think. Yeah, they were all rookies maybe. Oh yeah, they must have been because they didn't live there. But yeah, so I thought that was super cool, and it was very sorority-esque.
Yeah, so that reminds me of like going away to camp. I never did sleepaway camp, but it's the same kind of vibe of you get that camaraderie by that shared experience, even if it's a little bit like, oh, we have to walk to this crummy bathroom in the woods or share this one hotel bathroom. You know, there's a lot of bonding that happens in that way.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Camp is very much like that. And I also see a lot of correlation between camp girls and sorority girls.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. There's such a great connection, and there's such a history with them that they're very comfortable. They assimilate very quickly into their sorority houses, which brings me to a point that is, I think, a really good point. And I don't know that I've ever addressed it, which is crazy because I repeat myself all the time. One of the things that I hope, if your daughter is in a sorority, or if you are in a sorority, get in a sorority this year, if you're a new member, it is not instant add water, you have friends. Mm-hmm. It takes effort, again, just with the preparing and the intentional work. You need to go to the house, enjoy those common areas if you have a house. If not, you need to show up for committee signups. You need to sign up for what you can time-wise. And you really need to make an effort because, you know, I do hear of people who will pledge a sorority and they have all these great bid day pictures. And then they're like, wait, where are my friends? Like I thought, but it's not. And then people are starting to, you know, make separate groups. And it's not because it's always girl drama. It's because they're showing up and they're putting in the work. And that's an important point to make if you're listening. You still got to make the effort after rush.
Yeah, absolutely. You do have to make the effort. You have to invite people out. Have you read the book Let Them by Mel Robbins?
I have not, but I've heard a lot about it.
I listened to it recently on Audible, and she has a whole section where she talks about her daughter going to college and her trying to tell the daughter, you need to go sit with people you don't know. You need to ask people's names, invite them to do stuff. And then Mel talks about her relocating to a different town and having to follow her own advice. And it's very much like what you're saying. Like, we just expect everyone to come to us, but we actually have to put in some effort and try as well and kind of meet people halfway at least.
Absolutely. That makes me think of Mary Spencer Veazey was a guest on my podcast. She was hilarious, but she is an author of a book called Cul-de-sac Crossroads, and it's for navigating change and in your early 20s. And she talks about how when she moved to Nashville, she didn't know anybody. This was after college. Mm-hmm. And she made it a point to and I could be getting the facts wrong, but it's still the general advice. She made a point for, I guess it was 6 weeks or maybe it was 6 months. I don't know. She would go out of her comfort zone once a week and say, invite someone to lunch, or go and talk to the barista at her favorite coffee place, or whatever it takes, because people want to be talked to. So I think that's great advice. And it's also so important for when you get to college, whether you're in a sorority or not, keep your damn dorm room, door open.
Yep.
I think everyone who listens to me knows that I like to send those little rubber door stops to people. Do you do that? That's a good idea for your business. You should.
I don't do it, but I have loved that when I've heard you talk about on other episodes. And I think it's such a great concept, because one of the things that I hear now is students think that they want the private bedrooms, the little 2-person suites, right? Where they're sort of away from everyone, because it's a little bit more reminiscent of home, where they could just go up to their bedroom and just sort of detach from everything. But they really are wanting and needing the opposite, and they need that open community and just people to pop by their doors. And so I think it's a great idea, and so simple.
And it's something, I think we have a new business. You should get personalized door stoppers and give them out.
Oh, I like it.
I like that idea.
Especially for the South, right?
That's
a good monogram on there.
That's what I'm saying. Monograms and door stoppers. Hey, I'm gonna get commission. Those $5 door stops. I'm gonna make so much money. I'm gonna be rich.
Yep. That's gonna do it.
Yes, it is. The dorm stop, the commission off of the $5 door stoppers that you put into the houses you design. That's gonna be it. That's my PJ right there, my private jet. That's what I'm working for, people. That's why I'm charging all the money. I'm just kidding. I'm writing my book, so this advice can be available to everyone, just so you know.
All right, Trisha, I usually do a house hot take at the end of every episode. What is your house hot take for our listeners? Here's today's house hot take.
Keep your door open and buy one of Liz's personalized PDR interiors door stops. How about that?
I feel so much pressure. Okay, sold. Got it. And by a door, you don't mean leave the front door open. You mean leave the bedroom door open.
Yes. Lord God, no.
Don't let anybody in off the street.
Well, don't let anybody in off the street. And if you're in the South, if you leave your door open, you are going to be covered in mosquito bites. So
yeah, and smothering, because it's hot as hell right now.
Exactly. Yes, it is. If you do see a picture of this, and I'm hoping that Collier only shows you. Collier is our mutual producer. But if he shows me in this little clip, then you guys will know that I did not get where I am today because of my looks.
Stop. You look great.
This was fun and a busy time. It was a nice break from the editing and rush grind. I love it, but it's a lot. So thank you for doing this with me today.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. It was fun. It was a nice break and a good, timely conversation to have.
Absolutely. And I look forward to doing this again soon.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you got something out of today's conversation, we'd love for you to leave us a 5-star review. It helps us reach more listeners just like you. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to check out this video right here or this one over here. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. On that note, I'm Liz Toombs with Sorority Chat, and I'll see you on the next one. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry for Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Liz Toombs.